Wait. There it goes.
Okay. Okay, is everybody ready for the pregame question?
Yeah, shoot.
All right, I like the question is, how does your character treat people in the service industry?
I like this question.
It's a good question. Who wants to go first?
I have a question for the question.
Okay.
What do you mean by service industry, considering our environment? Like, what does the service industry comprise? Because all I'm thinking of is our current equivalents of like waiters and bartenders and shit like that. But like, this is the future.
Okay. So in the Terran Empire, most of those jobs have been replaced by machines. That's the reason the Terran Empire is able to do the universal basic income system that it has, is that it's automated so many things. You do see service jobs pop up, but they're usually how do I say this? They're usually the kinds of service jobs that people can actually take pride in. So like you know, like a secretary working at a high-end hotel kind of thing, where like you're not just doing a basic job, you actually have some like options in how you go about it and stuff like that. In a lot of the other countries, in a lot of rogue kingdoms, they don't have the resources to fully automate those kinds of jobs. And in the Krell Republic and the... Oh my god, it's been so long since we've played, I'm forgetting faction names. I made these factions! The fucking neoliberal people.
The Free States of New Macedonia.
Thank you, Kevin.
Yep.
Yeah, those people have tons of service workers. Those people actually have, they have a really gross, like...
An underclass kind of thing?
Yeah, I explicitly said that they have, like, 3 classes, and it's like the... I don't remember the words I used. They were very good words, but it's something like the workers, the bureaucrats, and the executives, or something like that. And it's like
the capitalists, the middle management, and the day laborers.
Exactly.
Yeah,
and so the day laborers are like 98% of the population, and then the middle management is like 1.8% of the population, and then the like other ones are like 0.2% of the population, and then the wealth is distributed in like the opposite, basically. Yeah. They're America. Yeah, so they have a really huge like service job kind of system. That didn't necessarily answer your question, but for the sake of how this affects your character, let's say that you are in like the Free States of New Macedonia, and we're talking about the equivalent of like janitors and McDonald's employees and stuff like that.
What are the robots' rights?
So robots' rights is not really an issue in this setting, for the same reason it's not really much of an issue in the world today. Our setting does not have sophisticated artificial intelligences other than the network and like a dozen or less like distinct artificial, like true artificial intelligences that are all like really significant supercomputer kind of entities, and all of which are basically have like high level government positions. Every artificial intelligence that everybody in the universe is likely to experience is going to be the level of like a Siri or something, where it might be able to imitate human conversation, but it's like very clearly not running an actual like personality or intelligence.
Yeah, like it's a script.
Yep. And the only kind of caveat to that, other than the network, is people who have sleeved themselves. So people who have uploaded their brains into a sleeve, in which case you have to get into some philosophy on like whether or not they are an artificial intelligence. They were at one point a biological brain, so.
Okay. Yeah, I was just
Speaking of
debating.
philosophy, I think that Roy would see those types of things. So this is kind of an answer to your question. Roy would see those things as willing slaves. So I'm keying a little Friedrich Nietzsche right here. Roy seeks to become the Übermensch, the Overman, the thing that is greater than the sum of his parts. And he sees these artificial intelligences that have been pretty much like just restricted as far as their intelligence level. He sees them as things that are just beholden to another, and he sees them as willing participants in that, which gives him kind of a dim view on them. So when he meets other machine intelligences that don't demonstrate that kind of servitude, like Mate, for example, he's really intrigued because he falls outside of the paradigm of master and slave, and he doesn't know what they are. So yeah.
Okay. Cool. Do Bluvin or Ruda, either of you have something?
Ruda's pretty nice to people in the service industry.
Okay.
He's down with the people. Like,
Okay.
People.
That was massively different from the last response.
Yeah. Roy's not a fascist, but he's he's kind of an exclusionary type of personality.
Sure. And I do actually think that we've seen Ruda interact with like some bartenders and stuff, and was fairly cordial, except for that one secretary he interacted with, where he was not cordial necessarily, but he did sell them weed. So
He was cordial in his own way.
sure.
Oh, when Roy sees the organics who are in the service industry, he sees them as doing what they're supposed to do, because that's what organics
Damn.
do. They exist to serve others.
Interesting.
Not a
Interesting.
fascist, but
No, it's interesting, and it's an interesting.
utilitarian would be the word. Utilitarian.
It's an interesting flip on the standard take, where like it makes sense in fiction, but also Roy is like he is treating people the way that most people treat AIs.
Yep.
Yeah, I like it.
So, Bluvin's answer would probably be that he regards people in the service industry, organics or non, as
You are really quiet,
crucial.
Jeff.
Just what?
Your volume's really low. I got you up at 106% on my end, but you're still really low in volume.
Is it unhearably low, or I don't know. I haven't really changed anything since last time. So.
It's not solo, but like I'm just gonna bump you up myself. Just let me know if you make any adjustments to your mic so I can put it back down.
I got you up on 200% now, and you're fine.
I won't adjust anything, but I'll try to just voice myself towards. I'm not even sure where my microphone is on this computer is. I'll be honest. I'll just talk near the computer.
Okay.
So
okay, sorry to interrupt you, dude.
Yeah, sorry about that.
So Bluvin regards persons in the service industry as really just kind of crucial to society, and he does regard them favorably and tries to be courteous and tip them really well. But I think Bluvin is also a little bit maybe neurotic about how he likes to order things and stuff like that. So he's always ordering, unique types of milk in his coffee or whatever. Like he's very specific about things, so he sort of accidentally asks a lot of them, but he's always also simultaneously pretty kind.
It's Bluvin the send it back type.
he may get a little particular with that, yeah, but not really, not sending it back just to make the person work though.
Let me, Bluvin, are you done?
Yeah, that's all I had.
Okay. So Amil, I feel like I need to tell this one story about Bryn to give you a good example of what Amil is like. So one time Bryn we were ordering like pizza, right? And then like the pizza person comes and we open the door. Bryn opens the door. Bryn and I go out. We like grab the pizza. Bryn's like, thanks, and then just goes back inside. And then I'm sitting there with the pizza person, and I have no money. And I'm looking at the pizza person like, and Bryn has gone inside already. And this is what Amil does constantly. Like, he's very cordial. He's very, very nice to me, but he doesn't really quite like understand. And then sometimes he just is like, thanks, and then walks away and like unintentionally like breaks. Yeah.
So that's very good. So Jeff, your response reminded me of I was listening to somebody the other day who was talking about how sometimes when they go to like a hotel or something, they will give their like the shit. It's not called the janitor. Is it a maid at a hotel? I don't like that. Anyway, they would give service. Right. They would give the room service just like a $100 tip up front and be like, listen, I'm sorry. Look, this is not going to be an interaction that wasn't for either of us. Here, have some money.
Yeah.
Kevin, do you want to try taking game notes?
I can do that. Yes.
Okay. We don't have to take notes on the character questioning because people can just listen to that. It's the first part of the recording. We haven't heard from MX8 and we haven't heard from Avalon. I think those are the only two.
Yeah, would you like to go first, Aeneas?
Sure. So I would think that like Avalon is very like she's overly nice to service workers, and it has a lot to do with just going to college. Like while she was in college, I would guess that she probably held down like a cafe job or something else similar just to like have some extra pocket money. And so she's kind of seen the worst in regards to like what people can really do in regards to service workers. And so she probably also has this like level of hatred where it's like if she happens to be at a coffee shop on her own and she hears people that come in and get like really anal about it, like, oh, I want this coffee with this many shots and don't put any extra flavor, like she's just like, oh, and she has like that moment of just like, God, I don't miss that at all. But she's so overly nice to service workers to the point that like even if they get her order wrong, she's just like, that's okay, I'll just eat this. Like she never wants to like correct them or be like send anything back. It's just like, no, this is fine, you're doing your best.
So I have something I want to explore here because we know that Avalon's parents worked at the university and that she was kind of raised on campus. How do I want to put this? So I feel like Avalon probably had free tuition.
Oh yeah, absolutely. But it was one of those things where she didn't like that she had that, and she was always like pushing herself extra hard to prove herself. Like, I don't want to be connected to my parents, so even if I don't have to pay for tuition, I still want to do things to like prove myself.
I very much got the impression that Avalon did not need to take these jobs, but did as a kind of show of like solidarity or whatever.
Yeah, absolutely.
Alright, so the only one we have left is me.
Cool beans. I don't know if I do this on purpose, but a lot of times I go last, and it feels like there's a lot of weight to say something very important here. Yeah, it's this is a weird one because mate spends a lot of time when on the like spaceship or space station that we spend time at, in the captain's quarters, and just hang out and speaking with the ship's computer. I think mate's ultimate goal there is to figure out how to provide the ship with a higher level of sentience and consciousness. And I want to say that if mate figures that out, I think mate will want to do that for every other robot.
Cool. Bryn took a phone call.
Oh, okay. I was like, oh my gosh, was that stupid?
Oh
No.
It's like,
No.
hey DM, is that any good? Does that work for my character? I think that's cool.
DM silence.
DM's like, I'm gonna need you to walk that back. We can't do that in this game.
So I guess I am the DM for a minute.
Yes, acting DM.
Acting DM. Last time I gave you infinite. What was it? Happiness and self-satisfaction. Life satisfaction?
Yes, that was really good.
How can we top that?
Unlimited.
Yeah, sorry about that.
Infinite life.
I got called to one of my many pharmacies that I have to go to get all of Maverick's medications. That he has a medication refill, so I gotta take a note real quick. Mav, low res, giant. Jesus. Okay. So, Mikhail, I heard that you were talking about your relationship with computers and with people on the ship.
Yeah, so I was talking specifically about the space's computer, like the AI that is in the captain's quarters, and just wanting to provide more, or figure out a way to give the ship's AI sentience.
So I want to explore something here because I was not paying. I previously kind of implied a level of sentience or autonomy to the ship's AI that doesn't necessarily line up with what I've established about the rest of how these things work. And I think that one thing that would make a lot of sense here is if the ship's AI had a ex-human handler, so a person who what's it called? It's called simming, which is an alternative to sleeving. If you fully digitize your brain, but then don't put yourself inside of a robot, you can choose to just put yourself inside of a server farm instead. So I think that probably the best explanation for that canonically would be to say that the computer in the ship is a very powerful computer that also has a sim that is operating it, and that does a lot of the the more proactive stuff of like making sure that they have that people are pre-purchasing upgrades and stuff like that or whatever.
So is it kind of like the ship AI that is in I don't know if anyone's played Outer Worlds?
Watched Lindsay play it.
I watched a bit of it.
So it's like it's kind of like the ship's AI, and it can kind of it adjusts around the way that you speak with it. So like it learns. It's like it's a learning AI, but at some point it kind of just figures out like, hey, I can kind of make decisions on my own. So,
well, So I think there are two options here, and I think that I want Mikhail to decide which way we go with it, because you have the most invested in it.
Mm-hmm.
Either this is a very powerful computer that also has a simmed human that is kind of like operating it from the inside, or in which case it would be able to, communicate like a human does, and it would have much more like, humanoid approaches. Or it is a pure computer and is just like a nice like high-end computer that has a lot of functions that it knows how to run, and maybe has like a library of functions that they have purchased a lot of.
Okay, so the tail end of the answer to the question was, I think if Mate figures out how to kind of overclock or hack the AI to give it a larger sense of freedom, Mate would want to do that like wide scale. Like right now, Mate's hacking isn't nearly as good as it should be. But if that's a thing that Mate can figure out, I think I like it better if the computer is a computer, like is a pure AI. And that's something that I can work with the computer on.
Okay, that's very cool. We can get into this at some point in the campaign, but there are reasons that like true AIs don't exist in don't exist outside of the network for the most part.
I'm pretty sure I know why, and that's something that I'm hoping comes out in the narrative.
Sure, yeah, and I think that it absolutely makes sense for that to be something that you explore. Okay, so I am logged into Spacefare. It looks like just about everybody is. Aeneas isn't on yet, but whatever. Okay, so you guys had just landed on what I have labeled as Triddly Prime City. Let me turn down Fredboat a little bit. Okay. Yeah, so I have this labeled as Triddly Prime City. I'm sure it would have a better name than that, but I don't think it matters. You guys had parked after being shot at. You asked, who's this girl? Crap. Oh man, what is this girl's name? Liko. Y'all asked Liko to come spot you, to come watch your ship and make sure nobody tries to blow it up. And then you wanted to go to a bar to check out, excuse me just a second. Y'all went to a bar to ask about some like local underground organizations, and also try to learn more about who might have potentially been trying to shoot you down. And when you walk into the bar, somebody in the bar said like, "Hey, look, boss, they came to us." And that is where we left it off. So let's pick it right back up there. What happens?
Ruda looks at the guy with the rocket launcher and he yells across the room, "Hey, asshole. You were the one who spilled the drink, weren't you?"
So
Roy yawns.
So
But not because he has to, just as a sign of disrespect.
I don't think it makes a lot of sense for people in this city to be able to open carry, which is probably something we might need to address for your characters as well. But I think that the way I'm going to handle that is say that this guy has, you know that classic thing where somebody will have like a guitar case and then they have like a Tommy gun inside of it.
Oh yeah, like
Oh,
Desperado.
Desperado, yeah.
Yeah, this guy has he has like a fucking cello case.
Hell yeah.
Oh shit.
And
That's the biggest fucking New
and-
Macedonian I've ever seen.
as soon as you guys talk, as soon as this happens, he starts opening up his cello case and you see a rocket launcher inside of it. I certainly hope he is not intending to use that inside of this inn.
Threat level
So-
increased.
Ruda said like, asshole, you spilled my drink. And I think one of these guys, the guy with two guns, reaches into his shirt pockets and pulls out two machine pistols, and I think he's just gonna say like, all right, boys, let's get that bounty, and he's gonna start shooting at you guys unless somebody does something.
Ruda's gonna jump in the air and like pounce on these two motherfuckers in the front.
Okay.
And the giant fucking sword.
Okay. Can you make do we have athletics or tough? I feel like it would be.
There's acrobatics and tough.
I think this is tough. Like everybody agrees, right? This is not necessarily him doing flips. This is him, fucking body tackling some scrubs. So he rolled an 11. 11 is, let me just do a generic roll of, okay, yeah. So you, I think you are able to tackle these two down, and you have gotten them in a position where they can't easily get to their guns, but there are two others that are starting to move towards you. I think probably one of them should go next. So, yeah, I think the guy who shouted out when you guys first entered the room is gonna start running towards you, and he pulls out an okay, this is what he pulls out. He pulls out a laser Bowie knife. Oh no, you know what? Better. It's not a laser Bowie knife. It's a regular Bowie knife, and then it's got a heating element inside of it. So the blade heats up red hot. And he's gonna charge and try to stab Ruda in the back to get him off of these other guys. Ruda's not in a good position to stop this without letting go of the other two. Does anybody else want to do anything to try to intervene here?
Roy projects hard light armor onto Ruda.
Oh hell yeah! Okay. Do I need a roll for this? I mean, I don't. I have the way that I set up these magic systems is that once you are able to do something, like once you have an ability, you can use that ability as much as somebody could like shoot a gun or run down a street or like use a computer. If there's no risk or like significant chance of failure, you don't need to roll. Like, you guys don't need to roll software every time you guys just want to check your email.
Yeah, you just need to be aware of your abilities and how they would fit in to the story,
you don't
right?
have to roll magic every time you want to make a hard light construct. I'm trying to decide if... Alright, I think you should roll. And I think
You
what
can
you're
roll like
trying
how
to
powerful
do
it is.
is to see whether you are able to get it in place before this guy gets his knife down. Do we have oh, it's bad because I really want to say that the role that's most appropriate here then would be intuition. But you can go ahead and roll.
I would argue for a melee or resolve.
Resolve
because
let's go ahead and use
just
resolve.
calm
I
enough.
think that's the regular casting ability for that spell.
Okay.
Nice.
Hold on.
Okay. Jeez.
Yeah, that's a 6 and a 5
Oof.
plus 4.
Wow.
Okay, yeah, so I think that with that high of a roll, I'll give you a choice. Either you are able to form, like, basically a full suit of armor around Ruda, or you can form a shell around, like, the shell starts where the knife would meet Ruda, but then it grows upwards and it grows around the guy's hand, so his hand is stuck in place.
With a roll that high, it should also like look really cool.
Oh yeah, it definitely looks really cool.
Yeah, I'm going to I think I'm going to cast it on the person who was swinging at Ruda, so that it starts to encapsulate them and kind of just disables their attacks, at least their physical ones.
Okay, so it's growing around them like some kind of weird light fungus and encasing them.
So wait,
Okay.
does he get a negative aspect then?
Yes.
And he would say something
would.
like, refrain from damaging my biological companions.
Yeah, so he's gonna have the aspect, let's just say encased for right now.
Nice.
And
Did him like the
infection,
dude in a
he's,
good
like,
place.
pretty much helpless. So I think that the next thing that happens is this one guy who hasn't gone yet. He. Oh, okay. This is how this works. He's gonna pull out a gun and try to shoot at one of you. I have to look up something real fast, so everybody entertain themselves for a few seconds.
Gross.
I have when you're done doing that, I think Amil is gonna go, and I have something cool I want to do. Well, try to.
Okay, well, this guy's attempting a shot. We will see how the result of that shot comes out. In the meantime, why don't you tell me what you have in mind?
I want to jump over the bar, and I want to rig one of the like beer taps to like shoot beer at the enemies' faces.
Nice.
That's very good.
Suds it up.
Okay, /roll 2d6.
I'm gonna get my roll ready for when.
Alright, let's see if this works. Yeah, there it is. Okay. So this guy with the gun goes to shoot at he goes to shoot at probably Roy because Roy just did something. But he's panicking. He looks like this is maybe like a rookie who does not have a lot of experience using a gun, and he's using this big hand cannon who he's clearly not proficient with, and his aim is off, and it looks like he's about to shoot Professor Pooty.
Shit.
But just before he pulls the trigger, this person who's sitting next to Professor Pooty pulls out a sword very fast and deflects the bullet out of the way, and then I mean, we will see what happens with them from there, but we're still in the middle of the action. So, Amil hops over the counter and
I gonna start like.
you're gonna use hardware.
Oh, hardware.
Hardware.
I'm
thought
getting
it
a,
was
I'm getting a wrench and just like unscrewing the faucet and pointing it at people.
Okay. Yes, that's very good. So I think that definitely works.
Do I just create a beer shower? Is that what it is?
Yeah, you've created the aspect beer shower.
Oh god.
Yeah, so I think that all of the enemies at this point are some form of incapacitated. What you are also going to notice, Amil, is that the nice old woman who was previously sitting behind the bar bartending is currently curled up behind the counter and is holding a phone in shaking fingers and appears to be calling the police. Okay.
I'm gonna look at the old lady and I'm gonna be like, "Don't worry, we'll deal with this riffraff."
Yeah, she's been talking to the police, and she now goes, "Oh, and one of them popped over the counter and broke my keg." Okay. Who wants to go next?
I think Bluvin can go.
Okay, what do you have in mind?
So the guy who had the hand cannon or whatever, and seemed like he was green around the gills, so to speak. Bluvin would like to try to use his empathic scion ability against him to impose an immense feeling of guilt in his actions. Can I do that?
Yeah, that's fantastic. So why don't you go ahead and roll,
Intuition.
It's either intuition or diplomacy. I actually think that diplomacy makes a little bit more sense here because you're trying to...
Okay.
Well, actually, guile makes the most sense because you're trying to, like, essentially, like, trick somebody. So why don't you roll guile, and I will have this guy roll with his resolve. Okay, cool. Yep. So, you succeed, and I think that you, considering how much of a scrub this guy is, yeah, he's absolutely, like, heartbroken and feels horrible, and he, drops his gun, and I think, his hands are shaking, and he tries to run out the door.
Great.
Could you say that again? I'm sorry, I didn't hear that last sentence.
He tries to run out the door.
He tries to run into the door.
Out the door.
Yeah, he's trying
run
to
out the
leave.
door.
I'd like to stop him if no one else needs to do anything first.
Sure.
Yeah, so I'd like to take my old world revolver, take aim, and do a leg shot.
Nice.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. He lets out a scream. This guy is a
As mate does that, Roy says, "A cacophonous fall, then a bottled slick beer reigns above the vomit."
so good.
Do I not have to roll for this because he's fleeing?
No. This guy is essentially helpless. So yeah.
Okay.
You pull out your gun. You get a good clean leg shot, and he falls to the ground. I mean, I'm sure he's screaming, but there's a lot of noise going on in here right now, so it's not a big deal. What else was I gonna say? Oh yeah, I wanted to say, so this guy, his blood is blue. He appears to be a Nautilin. All right. So now just about everybody is some form of incapacitated, but these ruffians are going to try to get Ruda off of them. So let's roll for the ruffians. The ruffians rolled a 10 to try to get Ruda off of them. Ruda, why don't you roll either tough or acrobatics, or maybe melee if you want to make the case for that.
I'll roll tough.
Okay, and you are trying to keep them pinned down, right?
Yep. I'm gonna try to use my aspect of Gym Rat.
Fantastic.
That's
Because
beautiful.
we're in another sparring match again.
Okay, yeah, great. So
And I
why don't
you know what? Am I also able to use my aspect, my rocket arm?
I don't think you need to.
Okay.
Why does your character not have any thingies on? I swear. Okay. Well, so I'm gonna go ahead and subtract one of your fate points. So you are down to 4 fate points left. And Yeah, okay, so you use your gym rat talents and you keep these boys pressed firmly down to the mat in the Greco-Roman style.
It spits in one of their faces.
Okay. Evelyn, is there anything that you want to do?
Evelyn, is there anything up?
Sorry, I was away for just a second. Let's take a look. So at this point, everyone in the group seems to be focused on, like, and I mean by group, the enemy group, like, they're kind of, like, wrapped up in either, fighting with Ruda or, like, otherwise just, like, focused
They're
on
all
us.
pretty much incapacitated. One of them has dropped their gun and is currently lying on the floor with a leg wound. One of them is slowly being encased in hard light, and 2 of them are pinned under Ruda.
The one in the back of the room? We haven't touched that one.
Oh no, that's not a bad guy. That's that is a rather posh-looking, like, you think that maybe he's a private school student, and he is currently hiding under a table and has gotten his cell phone out. He looks like he might be calling his mother and is crying.
During the madness, Roy looks at Mate and sniffs at the blue blood and says, "Pungent even fall, a terrible pedal sings in spite of the wound."
He looks back
Oh,
at him and says, "What?"
Yeah,
It's stinky blood, basically.
oh, it stinks?
Yeah, it's blue. It's from a fish dude.
Yeah, damn, I don't have a nose, so...
Well, Roy is cursed with one. So.
I'm sorry, would you like me
gonna
to
say,
help you
who are you
remove your
calling
nose?
sticky fish?
Yeah, that's like super rude.
Yes, it was.
And Amil is gonna look up from like behind the counter and be like, "I don't have a face."
Actually, I feel like Amil, let me know what you think here. I feel like Nova probably would actually have a very strong sense of smell, but I feel like their entire body is like one big olfactory organ.
I think that it's sensitive to different
man.
things than like
Okay,
biological
yeah.
stuff, though. Yeah, I agree.
He's good. He can like smell radioactive material in the environment.
Stuff like that. Yeah.
Okay. Evelyn, you are correct in the thing that you said. What do you want to do?
In order to help free up Ruda, while he's got people pinned, would I just be able to go over and push a table onto them so he can just... They're just pinned by a table?
Yeah, I like that a lot. Okay, so Evelyn comes and gets you. I think you go over, you push a table onto them, and then you just sit on the table.
Yeah. I think I'm gonna pick up one of their, like, abandoned drinks and just start drinking it leisurely.
Okay.
Ruda's just like smacking them in the face, taunting them.
Stop hitting
Wait,
yourself.
does
Stop
Amil
hitting
still
yourself.
have the... Amil still has the drink gun, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, Avalon's totally gonna finish off one of their drinks and then hold it up in the air like, Amil, fill me up!
God. Okay. So it is right around this time that that the police show up. I'm not actually going to get too hung up on the police because I don't think they're terribly relevant here. Professor Pooty volunteers to explain the situation to them. Bluvin, I think it would make a lot of sense if you wanted to help her.
Yeah.
Okay, so Bluvin, why don't you make a diplomacy roll for me to kind of try to calm the cops down? Because in this case, I do not think that you guys are, for the first time in D&D history,
We didn't kill anybody.
the cops have been called, and you guys are not in the wrong.
I'd like to also invoke, if this is like sort of a situational scene aspect or whatever, the guy that I've made feel guilty, like maybe he'll confess or something.
No, that's fantastic. Yeah, I think he'll totally confess, and he'll kind of explain how things are going. Oh, this is it.
Yeah, 11, that's happening.
Hold on, check this out.
Oh no, not him.
Oh,
Yeah,
God.
look at this
That's a really good sprite.
Roy mutters, "A cab," to himself.
Okay.
Yes, I did.
Yeah, it's very good. Okay, so yeah, the Bluvin is able to clear everything up with the fuzz, and the officers are going to take these guys in. They were not doing legal bounty hunting, so they are very much criminals here. And I think that the one that you got to confess will probably get like a nice plea bargain kind of thing. So so the police tell probably Bluvin and Mel Pooty that they will be in contact to deal with the logistics later, but they don't need anything more from you now after they take a brief statement. Amil, unfortunately, you...
Can I fix this lady's pipe and, like, pay for it?
Yeah, I think that's what I was going to get at, because you were kind of acting in self-defense, but I think that
It was questionable.
Yeah, so I think the fact that you volunteer to help fix the pipe is fantastic, and so with that the old lady's very very grateful, and
Hey, Bill, pour me a drink while you're at it.
yeah, so this guy who was sitting at the counter with the katana, he's going to wave over the old bartender, and he's going to say some kind, gentle words to her, and then a couple minutes later, she gives him a tray of drinks, and he carries them over to you guys. I assume that you guys have found yourselves a table to sit at by now.
Yeah, we flipped the other one back over.
Yeah.
Okay. So y'all are hanging out at this table while Amil fixes a pipe. This guy, he walks over to you with a tray of drinks, and he says, what does he say? I think he says, like, oh no, I'm gonna need a voice for this guy. Give me a second to think about this.
Hey, stranger, nice bullet chop in there.
Okay, here it is. Thank you, much appreciated. Not bad wrestling yourself. That was a bit of a commotion you got there. You guys used to causing such a stir when you head into town?
Only when we're living our 15 minutes of fame.
Yeah, he chuckles at that. He says, may I offer you all drinks? It's some bad business that you got pulled into, and I would hate for you to, have a bad impression because of it. He's offering you.
Yeah, if you're serving Pan-Galactic Gargle Blasters, fuck yeah.
Oh God.
Wow.
I think he's going to say, no, those are not actually legally sold in these parts.
Okay, well,
You have, I do have, and he's going to, I think he lifts up a bottle that he took with him to pour into shot glasses, and he says, this looks like 30-year-old whiskey? Apparently. Rich people, am I right? So, yeah, he settles down, and he pours you all drinks, and I think that let me go ahead and get started with.
So I just wanted to interject. Roy has never, at least not in his memory, drank alcohol.
And he does not intend to start now.
He's completely unfamiliar with it, so he turns to. So Evelyn was drinking on top of that table that she knocked over and had it filled up as well from the spray in the air. So he turns to Evelyn and says, Rainbow Mortal, why are there this many liquids that are consumed by organics?
We got lots of liquids. We got ones that are fizzy. We got ones that don't taste like anything but keep you hydrated. And then we've got ones like these. They're fun juice. So
Yet we can produce liquid on our own. Why do we not drink that?
Because that would be gross, and we don't produce beer on our own.
Perhaps I will seek to remedy this. I will produce beer on my own.
Oh no.
That's all. I just wanted to do that.
Okay. Well, so the
He does take a beer.
the guy who was having drinks with you all introduces himself as Hyakamaru, and I think that he sits and just chats with you all for a while. Do you guys have any questions you want to ask him? I know you wanted to ask about the underground movement. As a little reminder, the other things that I gave you as possible places to investigate were you could see if there's an Yelton embassy that might know about this case that you're looking for, and you also can look into trying to get your hands on some like government construction documents on how the town was built. That might have something about it. I think those are your
I'd
three.
like to ask why he's not interested in collecting our bounty.
Okay, yeah, that's great. So he's I think he chuckles and he says, well, maybe at another time, but right now I'm not really looking for work. I've got my own things going on. I don't like to mix and match jobs. Also, headhunting, it's messy business. Dealing with locals, avoiding the police. Better to keep as much of your work as you can above board. And I think he gives a wink that is either at Evelyn or Ruda, and you can't tell.
Okay, I like that. I really like that. I'm gonna in the the faith of staying as mate. Mate's gonna airdrop the dude a smiley face and basically the equivalent of my card, like my business card. Like, hey, if you ever need any help, you can always just reach out to us.
Okay. Yeah. So as soon as you do that, I think that he responds and how would he do this? Like a microsecond later, you get a response with his card and also a funny like internet gif that feels appropriate for the moment. And it is at that moment that you realize that this guy is actually sleeved, which is probably why he's able to respond to you so quickly.
Yeah, I'm like, because normally people don't even check my emails, which I'm still upset about. That's really cool. And then I'm just like, wait, I should be able to just tell as soon as he sends that back that dude's sleeve, right?
Yeah, he also, it's not, I think anybody who is paying a lot of attention can tell, he has a fairly, humanoid sleeve. He's also relatively covered up, but but you can see his Hiyori, I think that's what it's called. The shirt jacket he's wearing is a little bit loose, and you can see some like parts where different plates are pressing against each other on his chest that are very clearly like mechanical, and also on his face you can see some lines that high-end models can make themselves indistinguishably humanoid looking, but it's pretty standard for sleeves to have little like manufacturing marks and joints and stuff like that that are visible that make it pretty apparent that this is a sleeve. This looks like this is a high-end sleeve, but not a high-end sleeve of somebody who doesn't want to look like they're in a sleeve.
Okay.
So I
don't think I'd blow his spot. Yeah, I don't go out of my way to share with the group that I know he's sleeved. Just because I feel like that's kind of a thing that if someone wants to share, they would share that on their own.
Okay, so you guys, did anybody want to ask him anything about working towards your goal?
I want to ask about the underground.
Okay.
Yeah, I wanted to ask about that too, but I feel like I also would just be like, hey, so can I get your card too? Not for anything weird or anything like that, just in case we need to contact each other,
Yeah, at that he definitely chuckles, and he passes you a I think he passes you a physical card, like a business card, but this is something you're familiar. It's like it is a business card, but it has a like a magnetic signature on it that like you could like swipe this next to your phone and your phone would like automatically add him to your contacts kind of thing.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, it's a nice like physical social media connection dealy. Where's my notebook? I have a notebook.
I think Roy would ask if there's any, if the person knows any connection between the underground and Red Corp.
Oh, okay. So, this is perfect. You can have that, yeah. Okay. So he had poured himself a drink of something that he was just like a flask he was keeping in his jacket. It was like a dark blue liquid. And when you ask that, he stops for a second and smiles, and you can actually see that he has 2 metal fangs fitted in with his teeth, and he's going to give you a peculiar look, and he says, there might be, who's to say?
You,
Roy,
currently.
was it? Why don't you come get a drink with me, Roy? And he gestures to the bar, and he's going to turn around and start walking over to the bar in just kind of like assuming that you'll come with him kind of gesture. But as he does so, when he gets up, he lets his very loose Hiyori jacket that he's wearing slide down off of his shoulders a little bit, and you catch the upper part of his back, and he has that same red triple helix tattoo that Roy has on his back.
Son of a bitch.
And he starts walking over to the bar.
So Roy goes along. Roy notices the tattoo, but doesn't react or say anything, but makes a huge mental note about it. Sits down next to him and just looks over and just one words it: Red Corp.
Yeah, okay. I think he chuckles and he says, yes, I have my own history with the organization. You? And I think he's going to do a gesture that probably to everybody else at the table looks like he's making a pass at you, but he's actually going to reach his arm over, like he's putting his arm around your shoulder, but he's actually going to try to, like, doing so cautiously so that if you want to pull away, you can, but trying to pull your the back of your jacket back a little bit so he can see if you have the same tattoo.
Roy doesn't move at all.
Yeah, so
Which probably looks really weird to everyone as well, but he's still as a statue.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, so he pulls your jacket back a little bit and gets a look at your tattoo and smiles. And he says, interesting. Which,
This is very hard to tabulate here.
I mean, like, if you just say, like...
No, I'm just debating on whether to use the word erotic or not.
By the way, this is the thing you should know about Hyakamaru. Every interaction he has with anyone is just a little bit sexual.
Okay, so it's all caps erotic.
It's every time he talks with anybody, there's a little bit of sexual tension.
All right.
Which is probably kind of funny for viewing because Roy is asexual. So this is like completely. He's just still just like, what? Okay, he's just touching me. Okay.
Sure. Okay. So yeah, he's gonna ask which project you were part of.
I don't have the information required to answer that question, but I am looking for information that may lead to answers that I've had for a long time.
Okay. So yeah, you can see him doing some like mental calculations, kind of like the look you would expect on somebody who's like trying to decide if they can trust you. And
Roy would also say there's a woman, and he would mention the woman's name who he was interrogating in our pregame. I cannot remember her name for the life of me at this point. I think it was Clark something.
I made I didn't make a character for her, but I did make a character for Dr. Klama, scientist for Red Corp. Did I write it down as an aspect for him? No, I did not. So,
and he would show him like a lanyard or something of that woman, the person he was interrogating.
Why don't you give me a name for her? Dr. Dr. Cassidy?
Dr. Sydney.
All right. Okay.
That's my sister's name.
Sure. So, so Dr. Klama had worked with Dr. Sydney. Yeah, Hyakamaru says that he recognizes the name. He doesn't know where she is currently, but he recalls that she might have been related, working on his project as well. He says that he was part of a weaponized sleeve experimental division, and that he has separated himself from their organization a while back and is looking for his own answers. He says,
Roy bristles at the concept of the sleeved individual. Mate knew it, but Roy didn't know it until right at this moment. And says under his breath, so they've created more than one abomination.
He says, I think he chuckles and he says, yes, they've created a great many abominations, is a fair way to put it. And again, he looks at you and kind of is like trying to decide if he can trust you. And when he speaks again, there's a little bit of like vulnerability in his voice that I don't know if Roy would not know this. The audience can recognize there's some vulnerability in his voice. And he says, I actually, I was an experiment on sleeved developmental psychology. I was sleeved as an infant and have been in this body my whole life. Well, various bodies. But,
Roy cocks his head to the side. Continue.
Yeah, so I never got to have a biological development. And then he shrugs and looks away like he doesn't want to talk about it, and he says, "Anyway, we'll I'm sure we'll get back at those bastards someday." To answer your question, I don't believe that that there is any Red Corp affiliates working in this city. And he grabs the tray of drinks that he had ordered at the bar and starts walking back to the table. Is that all right? Do you try to stop him or anything?
No. Roy continues to watch, but lets the scene end essentially.
Okay. I think that his last comment to you as he's walking back to the table is better not to keep our companions waiting, but let's talk again at some point. Okay. So you guys regroup back at the table, and I think as soon as Hyakamaru sits down and starts passing out drinks, he goes ahead and says, so I'm not, he says, I do know several underground organizations in this area, one of which operates out of the undercity of this very town, and I would certainly be comfortable talking to them about this. Have you guys mentioned the cave to him, that you're looking for a cave, or just that you were looking for an underground organization?
Yeah, Ruda was asking about the underground cave.
Okay. Yeah, he says, I don't know if they would be familiar with it, but it certainly wouldn't hurt to ask. I can introduce you to them if you want.
Yeah, that'd be great. Bottoms up.
Certainly. And he bottoms up with his own dark blue drink.
Bluvin has a question for him.
Sure.
Bluvin is trying to do his best rendition of like a spy, like in Bluvin's mind, whatever that would look like, and so he's trying to be all kind of like talking with great subtext to everything he says, and so he says, "How's the fishing around these parts?" Wink, wink, nudge, nudge.
You see him doing some mental tallying, and then he shakes his head and I think he shakes his head and he says, there aren't many fish in the ponds around here, but I do think that the fish that there are treated well. He's not entirely sure what you're asking, but
Bluvin continues slightly more persuasively. Are there any yellow-tailed snappers?
What the fuck?
I think
I expect this from Rory. What is going on?
I think he gives you a long, probing look, and then he grabs another one of these cards out of his wallet and hands it over to you, and it's a card for a gentleman's club.
Bluvin's gonna look confused and be like, not the kind of fish I was referring to.
I think Hyakamaru is kind of speechless and just nodding his head now.
This is a very Amil cutting his pinky off moment.
What can you tell me about the waterways and the secret passages around these towns?
Is all of his sexual galore?
Sounds very sexual.
Waterways, passages.
Okay.
Are there any, nooks and crannies that one should be aware of?
I am not.
Are there any sleuth gates I can release my tadpoles?
No.
Roy is extremely confused. His head is pinging back and forth like a tennis game
I don't
referee.
think it's just Roy. I think it's everybody.
Amil stops fixing the pipes and is like, "What the fuck?"
Out loud. He's like, "Ha! X."
Okay. Does Bluvin ask that directly after enough failed attempts?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So Hyakamaru is going to say that he hasn't been in this town long enough to know the underground society intimately, but there's an underground organization that might know, and also he could easily enough. He has. Ooh. Okay. Yeah, I think he's gonna say. He thinks he knows somebody who might have the information you're looking for. That is a retired architect
Okay.
who had worked on the city development. So he could take you either to this retired architect, or he could take you to the underground organization.
Oh, so as a party, right? Well, in that case, I'll sort of confer to the consensus here with the group.
Mm-hmm.
What do you guys want to do?
Yeah, what is everyone else angling to do? I'm kind of not sure like where y'all are
Angling, I like it.
I think Rudy headed toward the idea of going to the underground organization.
Okay.
Did we get any details about the government building?
You have not yet. Do
Haven't
you have
asked.
I mean, you know where it is.
Roy
Do you have
says,
any questions?
Roy says, a tumbling meadow, a right mandibled question, whilst watching the chair.
We'd like to do that.
Do you have a
I think-
question about the government building, or would you just like to get into one?
I kind of would like to get into one, but mostly I don't think I would split from the group in this case.
Okay. Well, there's the Aelfin Embassy, as I mentioned before, and there is the City Hall building, which would probably have a records department. The Gemini ship was able to provide you guys with the location of both of those in the town.
Okay. Then yeah, I don't think I'd have any other questions in that regard, and I'd probably stick towards going towards the underground anyway.
Okay. I'm going to move these guys off the map. Send to GM layer. These two. Send to GM layer. Okay, so let me move you guys around a little bit. First, I'm going to get rid of this. Oops. Let's see. Okay. Stop that. Control A. That's the GM layer. I'll move this over here for now. To front, and then to token layer. And back to the token layer. Okay. So if you guys zoom out on the map, you can kind of figure out how the navigation here works. There is an entrance to so most of these big like doorways that are just like going into buildings will make their way to the Undercity eventually. I'm gonna go ahead and pull this up right here. So this is oops, let me map layer. Oops. What? Oh no. Oh no. I done goofed.
What happened?
I just moved the wrong thing to the map layer.
Oh.
Alright, move this to the map layer. Go to map layer. To back. To back. Now I'm gonna have to move you guys all back to the token layer. Okay, so you guys can see the section that I moved your characters to. The Undercity is not necessarily like, it's not supposed to look like it's disgusting, but it is incredibly utilitarian in design, and has none of the polish that the rest of the city does. And you know from the like documents that Gemini sent you that the Undercity is used for the city's plumbing. It's also used on different channels for shipping. So this is how packages are sent to people's houses. And there's some public transportation running through here, and there's also some storage. So all of the like storage supplies that somebody would subscribe to are in the Undercity. So this is a good pausing point. Before we go any further, I need a quick break just to stretch my legs and clear my head. You guys can talk amongst yourselves and talk about how things are going. I'll be around. I'll be right back. I'm just
All right.
Cool beans.
I'll be right back.
Alrighty.
Everybody get out your poops and your peas.
Yeah, I feel like the old nomenclature would be like, hey, I'm going to go take a bio break. Be back in a second. All right, wait. Before I go, though, I really need to know why you don't want Morgan to play ESO.
I mean, I saw it in development, and just as somebody who is a long-term Elder Scrolls fan, I look at that, and it's not an Elder Scrolls game to me. It is to the Elder Scrolls what Fallout 76 is to Fallout.
Cool, thank you. That's the only analog I needed.
No problem.
I'll go back to Morrowind.
Yeah, Morrowind, Skyrim, mod them a lot. Oblivion, that's a good. Oblivion, I loved Oblivion. Just the ability to go to another plane of existence that looks like a hellish realm. That was so fucking cool. And the Siege of Kvatch, man, so many like big set scenes that are in that game that just aren't in those types of games anymore.
Yeah, it's those big set pieces just don't exist that way anymore.
Yeah,
and
like
kind of
Martin
like that
Septim
level
at the end of the
immersion.
game turning into a gigantic Godzilla-sized Akatosh god being, like, and fighting a giant Maroon's Dagon. Like, where is anything like that in Skyrim? Like, we got
closing
flying
those
dragons,
portals,
but okay.
that was always a testament to like, yo, is my build working? If I can like infiltrate this like Daedric palace.
Yep, it was fucking incredible.
Can't talk my way out of that.
I still want to go back and play that, but I know that when I do, it's gonna have to be accompanied by like a month or two of just modding.
Mods. There are some really decent projects for like reskinning a lot of Oblivion.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's also like some of the best DLC that Bethesda has ever done by far is in Oblivion. Shivering Isles is fucking incredible. Like their creation of a world split between mania and depression, and like just the way that they like visualize the psychology of an insane god. It was great, and like the references to Jethro Tull and Jiggalag and all that shit. Great.
Yeah, it's all good stuff.
Yeah.
All right, I'm going to take this opportunity to go use the restroom. BRB.
Do it. Okay. I'll be here.
Okay. I just want to take a quick second to see if I can find my notebook. Not that it would have much help for me right now. Okay. How's everybody doing?
Jamming the Carpenter Brute, so I'm good.
Are we waiting for anybody to get back?
I'm back.
Okay.
You know, I just got back. I need some more water.
Cool.
Short, dark synthwave music plug.
Yeah.
If you like horror movies, check out the streaming service Shudder. One of the albums that I recommended in the soundtrack channel, Blood Machines, just got like a series, like a movie/series to go along with it. So it's sort of like in the concept, if you think of it like an old Hype Williams movie, sort of like Belly,
Oh,
but like
okay,
a synthwave, like future sci-fi, really weird naked lady crossover shit.
Okay, I'm into that. You said enough things that I like.
Yeah,
I'm hip to
it's
that.
really cool. It's some of it's just like, wow, this dude is really, really obsessed with the female form. And it shows, it pulls through if you watch like all his music videos and whatnot. But like,
Okay.
it's done in a way where it's like a woman is typically mistreated in his music, and then she comes back and fucks everybody up big time.
Good. Okay.
That's what happens in Blood Machines.
Say no more.
Yep. It's all about sentient ships. Spaceships.
Wait, hold on. I need to watch 10 minutes. Oh no. Okay, I'm sorry. I just watched the erotic video. Alright, the video for the recording. I watched the video of the characters from Futurama saying the word erotic.
Yes, thank you. Okay, just to clarify, that's the
Not
Futurama.
necessarily the
I watched the
erotic
erotic video. Oh, okay, Bryn's watching porn during our game.
That'd be weird because I'm like right here.
That would be awkward.
I have looked at memes during a game. I don't know that I've ever looked at porn during a game. I think that would be a low point. Okay. So just in terms of like paying attention.
Yeah. Dividing your views.
So, people let's see, what would we have in here? Oh man, this is so good. I gotta grab some sprites for you guys to meet in this underground organization, and good sprites helps me come up with good characters. So this is a very important step here.
Okay.
Fuck, it's so good.
Yeah, because they would be hanging out here.
Okay. Give me.
Yep, that guy too.
Yeah, let me get yeah, let's grab one of these.
Well, let me zoom in.
We want to grab one Nautilin. Yeah, got it too. Okay. Okay. So so Hyakamaru takes you to a small like side section in the Undercity. It looks like this was actually a storage room that that is like currently unused and has been turned into a like makeshift house. And you see all it's Florins, Nautilins, and Avians living here. I think Hyakamaru, on his way down here, explained to you that because Terran citizenship laws allow anybody who is who has been living in the Terran Empire for over 2 generations to be, man, I can't remember the term I used for them.
Isn't it like their universal basic income?
Yeah. It's like you're a civilian or something like that. Like you are a person who is provided with universal basic income and are not allowed to get your own income. But because of the way that the law is set up, although it seems fair on the surface, it means that it almost exclusively applies to humans. And
I mean, even if not, this is a technocracy, so that's no good.
Yeah, and because it because there are very few like for-pay jobs, because this like society is not built on an economy of wage, it is very hard for people who are not humans to make an honest living around here. And so often the non-human citizens in a place like this will end up working jobs in like city maintenance and stuff like that, and will...
So, in Starship Troopers, they did this with the distinction between the civilians versus citizens.
I really like that. So this would be like, in our case, civilian is somebody who has the like the universal basic income option. Citizen is somebody who is allowed to make income and therefore has the potential to get rich if they do well.
Yeah.
It's like America has like citizen versus like legal resident.
Yeah, that's a good comparison. The only difference is that in in the Terran Empire, a lot of people who would qualify to be civilians would still opt to take the other option because they, first of all, you cannot have a government a government office unless you take the other option, and if you are a civilian, then you'll basically never be rich. So a lot of people who want to be richer than other people, who want to have like nice things, will opt to take the other option. And
if you're aspirational, you don't do the universal basic income route.
And if you are aspirational, it'll often work out for you if you have a family with money, basically. But all of that said, this is the reason we have this particular Undercity here. It's Hyakamaru explains that these are not necessarily it's not that this is a gang of criminals, which isn't to say that nobody down here has ever stolen to get a good meal, but it's more just like the homeless population in most cities.
Okay.
They're just doing what they can to get by with so few resources. So he takes you in here and he introduces you guys. He gives you the names of all of the people working here, and he explains that you are you're looking for something under the city, and then I think he stops and he's going to turn to probably Bluvin and ask, are you prepared to offer them any kind of compensation for their help? Again, with this game, we're not doing numeric money. Your characters are assumed to have an income, so just is it in character for your character to offer compensation?
Who is he referring to?
He's asking if you would be willing to pay these the people who live in the Undercity for help finding the thing that you're looking for.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
That seems fair.
Yeah, so Okay. So you talk to them, you offer that. Bluvin, why don't you go ahead and roll diplomacy for me? Because they don't know if they can trust you, and, basically be like...
am I dealing with other Nautiloans? Because you mentioned somewhere down here.
There
Maybe I could
is
invoke
one
sort of like a...
this guy.
Okay. So it's hard to lean on my Nautilan shared status. Anyways, I'll try to just convince them that we're trustworthy.
Okay. Okay.
You can trust us.
So an 11 is a fine roll, and I think that especially, as you said, because you are not a human, that does a lot in your favor. Basically, they can relatively well assume that you're not a narc. So yeah, I think that after you go back and forth for a bit, this little guy mentions that he found a waterfall under the city one time while he was exploring the caves down here. So as he explains it, there's the Undercity, which has all of this infrastructure, and then the Undercity backs up against a natural rock wall that is this cave. And then there are some passages that come off of that rock wall, little caves digging into it. And
Passages, you say?
yeah. And he thinks that he might know the place that you're talking about.
Is there anything unusual about these parts?
Yeah, So he's going to pretty directly say that he saw something that didn't look like it was made by humans, and he will offer to take you there in exchange for a large payment. So I think that the way that I'm just gonna handle this in fiction. He'll take you there, but it's going to cost a good chunk of your personal cut from this job.
I'll tell him that I'll give him a quarter of what he's looking for up front, and then the rest of it on completion.
Yeah, he loves that. Okay, so he very excitedly takes the credits that you're offering him, and he says, "Right this way," and he scampers down the hall.
All right. We've got a buddy!
Yeah. I was trying to decide if this guy would have, like, a mother who was worried about him.
Nah.
I think it's easier if he's an orphan.
Oh no! Why do you do this to me, Britt?
Yeah, don't worry. It's almost.
I'm not gonna betray him. My hands are tied.
Okay, so let me. Which is okay. So this is the first place that he leads you to. Map layer. Okay. You reach a point in the cave system where Control K.
Final Fantasy 9?
Final Fantasy 9.
Nice.
Yeah, it's under the city that's pretty with the chocobos.
Yeah.
So you reach a point in the cave system where the infrastructure kind of fades away and it fades into this like natural pre-existing cave structure. And you actually can see it's this very interesting place where you can see where the place that you were standing would have once been a like a lake or a pond, and the curvature of the walls very clearly shows the effects of water forming them, so that you can see like where the waterfall would have fallen, and then there's a you actually have to climb up a wall a little bit to get to the section that goes behind it, which would have been behind the waterfall. So the little kid scampers up there with ease, and you guys find your own ways up there, and he leads you further in. We're going to take you to the next place that he leads you. As you go down this cave, it starts to get weird. There are these, at first you get just this, like, faint, luminescent glow in little, like, fissures in the wall that you probably don't even notice at first because of, like, whatever light source you're using. But as you get further in, they become clearly identifiable, like, glowing crystals. And let's go ahead and say layer, map layer. Oops. Map. Right click. Back. Okay. So, you get to the end of this cave structure. It has opened up a fair amount, and now these glowing crystals that are jutting out of the walls, there's a lot of them, and some of them are actually forming into the shape of like strange crystalline plants, almost. And there is a door at the end. And let's see. Okay. So you get to the door, and I guess Hyakamaru is going to stop, and he's gonna comment like, "Well, this is unusual. I've never seen anything like this before. So do you guys have a way to get through here?"
Can I interface with the door? Like, is there anything that I can sense about it over the network?
So yes. Yes, you do pick up a like wireless interface signal that you can tap into from it. There is a noticeable like slot in the middle of the door that has this strange geometric shape to it that feels similar to the geometric shape of that key that Professor Pooty recovered. But when you attempt to look in that direction with your like Wi-Fi, you find that it is a digital signature that is written. It has a network-style interface. It's not exactly the network.
Roy's interest is perked.
I think it's almost like. I think it's kind of like if somebody like had learned Java and then they were seeing a document written in JavaScript. There are little like grammatical differences and like setup differences that are clearly this was clearly not made by the network, but it's also more similar to the network setup than like anything you've seen before.
Okay.
Like a dialectical difference in linguistics, almost.
And actually, I think God, I'm gonna feel awful if I'm misremembering this. Did you have a similar experience when you encountered the Shrouded Woman?
I was just about to say, does this feel the same?
Same vibe.
Yeah. Okay.
Roy is watching mate.
I'm having a really hard time.
Oh, okay. So
I imagine Roy and mate talked about that network shadow at some point, or,
Yeah, we
or at least
definitely
just
did.
exchanged some sort of like, that was strange. That was
Yeah.
neither of our type of signature. It was the third.
we have an email thread going right now.
So mate, when you like, scan with your like Bluetooth or whatever, and you pick up this door, you pick it up as a wireless device that it's a wireless device that normally it like has buttons essentially that do things, but they're all grayed out. But the function itself that you're picking up is this is the entrance door for a time lock system.
Okay.
Hyperbolic time chamber?
Maybe.
Kakarot. It's just the best part of that series. Just Vegeta saying Kakarot.
Just over and
Kakarot.
over.
It's very satisfying sound.
Yeah.
Is there any way for me to override the time lock or rewrite the script so that it can be for now?
There is, I mean, not. You can attempt a software check.
Yeah, can I would like
I
to.
will say the obvious one is to try that key that you have, but the software check might give you an interesting, alternative route. Oh no. Yeah. So that is that's not going to do it. What did you roll? 4 plus 1 plus 2. Okay. So you're like not even close to the roll that you would need to get through this.
Yeah, I kind of figured, and I actually like it better that
Mm.
I can't just do that. That works better.
Can Roy give it a shot?
narratively.
I will give you this. The more time you spend like investigating it and looking at it, the more intrigued you are at both the similarities to and differences from the network structure. The main one being that while all network applications are... Okay, this is it. This is how I describe it. It's the difference between a software application and an API. An API is intended to be used by programs to make direct calls to other programs. So all like network scripts are essentially just like APIs because they don't need like user interfaces. Your computers talking to computers, so you just talk in code. This looks like it was written in like the same software language, but it has a user interface as if it was intended to be used by like a user who was not themselves a computer.
Is that guy from the bar still with us?
Hyakamaru? Yeah.
Yeah. Can Roy give this a try?
With what? Just like the tablet?
Say again. I'm looking to see through my sheet if I had a piece of tech with me.
So I didn't have you guys write down like everything that your characters own. I think in this structure it makes more sense if we just say like whether it makes sense in fiction. Do you think Roy would carry around a tablet with him?
I'm pretty sure I have a drone. I'm looking.
Oh, you do, yes.
Yeah. So I have like a floaty thing with me that I could use to, I don't know, kind of RoboCop hack my way into things. And I have a pretty good software skill, so I'm gonna give it a shot if that's cool.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So here's what I will give you. With a 14, okay, with a 14, you can kind of like feel where the weaknesses in the system might be, but it's like trying to break a document that was written in a secret code that was written by a person who doesn't speak your language. It's
Gotcha.
like you were trying to like uncover like a secret code in a document written in Japanese. Like you might be able to see some like
We need some wind talkers in here.
here and there, and you might be able to see some like a general shape to it, but you don't. Without knowing the language, you don't even have a place to start.
Can I examine it from a mechanical standpoint?
You absolutely can. Do you want to roll hardware?
Yeah, I'm gonna roll hardware.
Frame of reference, wind talkers were the Native American code breakers from World War II.
Right. Okay. 11's not bad. So, here's what I will give you. The door itself, even though it has some cool plated visual elements to it, the door does not have any seams that would seem to indicate how it would open mechanically.
Okay, alright.
So I think that you don't have a lot to go off of, but you have enough to go off of to know that there's the key slot, and to know that the key slot does not work in a traditional mechanical key method where with slots and tumblers. If anything, it might be more like a key card slot or like a USB port on a computer kind of thing where it's just looking for some kind of maybe information.
Mm-hmm.
But other than that, you know enough to know that this is not standard galactic architectural style.
Sure.
The kind that humans use and avians and stuff use.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Anybody else have anything they want to check?
I think Roy at this point is looking very frustrated, or whatever is closest to frustrated that he would look, and look over at Hyakamaru and say, "Did you know anything of this before we got here?"
No. Hyakamaru is kind of almost awestruck. He's not speaking, but he looks completely enthralled by the situation, and after a second he says, "No, I didn't know anything about this." You can roll intuition if you want to
What's Mel Pooty up to? How's she handling this?
Oh yeah, she's freaking out, but I assume that none of you guys care about her, so she's kind of freaking out in the background.
I don't have great intuition, so I'm not going to do that. But I subtext, Roy doesn't completely trust Hyakamaru. Being the seasoned interrogator that he is, he felt that there wasn't a full disclosure of all information in their discussion earlier. So that's why I asked. I don't know. I don't know what to do about this door. Hit it, Ruda. Ruda, hit it.
I feel like Mel Pooty might actually be the person that has the most applicable skills, but if she's freaking out, maybe we could get Bluvin to get her on track and have her work towards opening the door.
When I say freaking out, I mean she's very, very excited.
Okay.
Yeah. So if you guys
What's
basically
this guy right here? Sorry.
that's the little dude from the underground who was leading you here.
Chihuahua.
So,
Does
with
he know
regard
anything
to
about
that guy, why don't I go ahead and pay him the rest of his money, and then I'll give him a little bit extra to make sure, and I'll ask him to not tell anybody about this.
Okay, yeah. So he's gonna take your money happily, and he's gonna scamper off, back home. So so if nobody's going to stop Mel Pooty, she's going to ask which one of you guys has the keystone that she retrieved from the place.
I can't wait till she turns into a demon.
You guys specifically said that you were going to hold on to it and not let her hold on to it. So one of you guys has it. I can't remember who.
I try the pinky.
I imagine Bluvin would have it. Bluvin being the leader of sorts. So.
Yeah, I probably kept on to it.
Okay, so Professor Pooty is going to reach out a hand and ask you for it.
Don't give it to her. Ask her what she
Can I
thinks
do
to
a
with
surface
her.
level thoughts thing before I do?
The key thing you guys got.
Oh.
What did you say? You want to do a surface level thought read?
Bryn?
Yeah. Did you say you wanted to do a surface level read thought?
Bryn?
Can you hear me?
I think you're cutting in and out.
Oh no.
Okay. I'm hearing things again. I was gonna do a surface level thoughts just to see what sort of like is on front of her mind.
Her. She thinks this feels like it feels really, really significant to her, and it feels like the big career break that she's been looking for, and it's better than she could have possibly expected. So she's really excited, and I will say, does not expect any kind of like demonic shit to happen.
Okay. I'm gonna look around the group just to give them a solemn sort of like, I trust this is not gonna lead to demonic stuff, and then I'm gonna hand her the key.
Okay.
I will ready the divine light in case you're wrong.
Okay.
Well, I am organic, so it's possible.
Yeah, picking up on that rivalry. Yeah.
Just as a general thing, does my third eye pick up anything right now?
That's a good question.
No, sorry. It doesn't, and in fact, here's how I'm gonna do this. This is great. Okay, I can touch this into the thing Roy's doing as well. Evelyn, you open your third eye to check around, and there are no demons in the area. There's also no anything else in the area, and it feels like this is just like a total vacuum, like a dead zone in the warp. Roy, when you go to reach for divine light, your like little warp angel spirit things that you use to pull divine light from are not around. And yeah,
Curious.
you don't have a third eye, so you can't see the rest directly, but you do not have access to it.
I see you trying to summon divine light and it not working, and then you just see like the emoji face on Amil get like really like kind of like almost like constipated, like, and then like I just get like 1 or 2 shades like brighter.
Okay, that's very good.
Intriguing.
Okay, so do you guys still want to insert that key?
I feel like
that's-
Evelyn's
yeah.
just gonna warn everyone about the dead zone and the warp, but otherwise I'm fine to
I think
proceed.
Roy would do the same thing. I think he would mention to Mate, at least loud enough for everyone to hear, that divinity does not enter this place.
Okay, so does this make you guys nervous? Would you guys like to have your weapons prepped?
Ruda's
Yep.
got goosebumps.
Oh
But-
yeah, that's why I was readying divine light, because I thought something was about to go down. But
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think as soon as I read that script,
Okay, as you
I-
guys
I
are
drew my
entering the
guns.
room, we will assume that you all have your weapons equipped. Okay, you enter the room, and what you see inside is it's like a warehouse of test tubes with these strange creatures floating inside. And
I'm pretty sure Roy's getting PTSD flashes right now.
actually, Roy,
Even if it's not what I'm thinking, something was wrong.
yeah.
This is a thing that should not be.
Yeah, so I will say, if Roy has any memory of the test tube, assuming he was made in a test tube, which even I don't know, it was not like this. In fact, these test tubes have the same, like, architectural style as the door, which is again distinctly not human. This is not necessarily depicted in this concept art I was able to find, but it is a very alien like design scheme. It's got a little bit in common with Aelfin architecture. Ruda, you can recognize that. And Mate, you're able to recognize a few similarities to network architecture, the architecture that they use in like their server farm ships and their like terminal units and stuff like that. Similar, like the way they use curves, the way they use like power transfer, stuff like that. Okay, you head inside and there's a faint glow to all of these tubes, as if there is still power running to them. What do you guys want to do from here? I don't want to
walk in
for you. Okay. Roy walks in.
Slowly walking in. I think at this point, Roy would be using his drone to take measurements, take calculations of everything that we're seeing, just a visual record of everything. Maybe scanning the whole area.
Amil wants to go up to like the mechanical mechanisms in the room and just be starting to like examine them very closely and carefully.
Okay. So you start examining the mechanisms. Does anybody examine the creatures?
Yeah, Ruda's gonna go around and like try to investigate.
So Ruda, you go and you investigate the creatures, and they are they are preserved, but they appear to very much be dead. And it is as you are investigating this that you feel you hear a pop and you feel a slight displacement of air, and you turn around to see the shrouded woman.
Oh shit!
Is in the room. Does anybody want to do anything?
I'm gonna walk up to the shrouded woman.
Yeah, Evelyn's just gonna like pop into the space behind her.
Roy ignores her completely.
He turns around. He's like, "You!"
But he's watching her with the drone, but his back is turned.
Okay.
Just like my icon looks.
So you guys, Roy is ignoring her. You guys are all like approaching her. The shrouded woman actually has walked up to one of these tubes and is staring at it from behind her shroud, and she does not respond to you as you approach her. By the way, fucking amazing song choice for this scene. This is the exact
It's so good.
Yeah, I figured it fit.
Roy is going to speak to her, even though he's not looking at her, and he will say, "This is the second time you've arrived unannounced."
Yeah, she does not respond to that.
Interesting.
Hey, lady, you put that bounty on us. You still got Pooty.
Yeah, I think that when you say that, she doesn't respond to your sentence, and instead she shakes her head and she places a hand on the glass. It's a Nautilin hand. You can actually see it from under her robe now, but it's got some like cybernetic bits moving through it. She places a hand on the glass, and Evelyn, you're pretty close to her, right?
Yes.
All right,
Salt and
Avalyn.
steam.
I don't know that Ruda would hear this, but Avalyn, you hear her say like, "No, no, they're dead. They're," and she runs over to another one. No, they're dead. They're all dead. And I think at this point she's going to collapse on the ground and is like holding her head in her hands and kind of staring into the middle distance from behind her shroud.
Evelyn's gonna approach her and make sure she's okay. I understand that she's probably not going to respond to me, but I feel for her.
Yeah, she barely registers that you have approached, but does not move to do anything to you.
Using the drone, can Roy figure out what these chambers are connected to? What their wiring or what their piping is leading to? Any energy source or a computer console?
Sure. Yeah, so you have an environmental surveillance drone, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, yeah, you're able to follow the power signature back. And it's yeah, there's like a generator in the heart of the room. I think I'm gonna go ahead and say that there's not much there's not much. Ooh, hold on. How do I undo this? Okay, yeah. So there's this room in the front with all of the people in it. Then at the back of this room, there is a I think there's a sealed gate, similar to the one that you guys took to get in here. But this one has a differently shaped keyhole, so it appears that your key would not work on this gate. There's the generator that is keeping these things all powered, and
So it doesn't seem to be broken.
No, it doesn't seem to be broken. They are receiving power, and in fact, whatever substance they are inside of has kept them kind of preserved, but they're a little bit like mummified. Like their bodies are completely intact, but they have withered away.
I've got a question.
Can I use my drone to turn it off?
No. You don't know. Like, it doesn't have that kind of interface.
Okay.
Hey, I've got a question.
Yeah.
I'd like to do a close examination of the skeletal system or the anatomy of these creatures, and if there's anything that jumps out to me as what they might have been good at, or what kind of creatures they resemble, or whether they resemble no creatures that I'm familiar with at all. What can I learn from that?
Roll a forensic anthropology check.
I mean, yeah. Do I have a nature check on here? I know I have a medicine check, and that's probably the most appropriate.
Okay, I'll do that.
Yeah. There's the result. 10. Okay. So they are not. It's not a species that you recognize. Wow, that was pronounced wrong. It isn't a species that you recognize, and so it's none of the main large galactic factions.
What about from their overall anatomy? What do they look like they're sort of good at, or like?
I think that they look like they
For instance, do they have like large heads and maybe have a big brain, or do they seem to have like big hind legs and maybe could run and jump fast, or?
I think they have a lot of similarities to Aelfin anatomy. They look like they could survive in the wild relatively well. They have horns and they have 4 upper limbs with 2 lower limbs and a tail. In addition, you and Ruda would also recognize this. The bone structure itself is very Aelfin, but they are distinctly not Aelfins. In the same way that somebody would look at like somebody might look at an orangutan and see that it has a very similar like skeletal composition to a human, but is very much a distinctly different creature. That's what you have to go off of. Mate, you recognize these things.
I was literally just about to ask, like, do I know them? Do I need to roll a cult to know more?
Fuck. No, it wouldn't be a cult. It would be intuition.
Okay.
I get to use the word morphology.
Okay, with an intuition of 11, that's a very good roll. Yeah, I think that your like your memory of your like visual memory of these things, which is of course just like it's like a fragmented orphaned file that used to be part of the larger collective. Your memory did not say exactly what these things are, but you're able to do enough like cross references that you can confidently say that these are progenitor corpses. Okay, yes. So at this point, Professor Pooty is running around ecstatically, taking notes about everything. I think at this point, the shrouded woman is going to stand and wipe her face, and she's going to say, well, there goes a decade of my life. We can't, I'm sorry. I'll remove the bounties on your head. You can have money if you want, but you can't stay here. I can't let the government find this place.
I'm gonna holster my gun, and I'm going to hold out my hand, and I'm gonna ask the shrouded woman. How should I phrase this? How long are you expecting to run on your own?
Oh my god, that's so good! Oh, oof doofa.
I'm just gonna write damn in the note.
Yeah, that's why I was trying to think how to phrase it. I think it's why are you still running?
Yeah, I think she lets out a gentle sob and then a chuckle, and she says, I'm not entirely alone, but it is certainly a lonely road.
There are more of you?
She looks at you and does not respond.
What do you intend to do when we leave this place?
I think her head drifts up and she like looks into the distance for a while, and then she says, that depends. Do you intend to tell others about it?
I don't.
Others, I'm gonna look around at the group, and I'm hoping I'm getting a general consensus. I'm kind of looking towards Bluvin as our
Bluvin
like,
says about
team leader.
what?
Roy hops up on his mag platform and slowly floats towards the shrouded woman and addresses her. Shrouded one of salt and steel, what did you expect to find here? Why did you follow us here? What is all this?
Yeah, I think she lets out another soft sob and she places her hand against one of the jars and she says, I was expecting to find this, but they're supposed to be alive. It's taken me so long to find one, and they're dead. I shouldn't be telling you anything. There's more work to be done. There's more out there to find, but yeah, and with that, I think she's going to shake her head and start walking over to the door. And she's not walking out of it, but she's just going to kind of stand by the door.
I'm gonna run after the shrouded woman.
Okay.
And I'm gonna do the anime backwards hug. I'm just gonna hug her back.
Oh no, it's so sweet. Oh no. Oh no. Oh no. Okay.
Oh no.
I can't find an appropriate gif.
No, but I know the exact backward hug you're talking about. And she has the exact reaction that every anime character has when they get the backward hug. There's just a moment of like she doesn't know how to react. And I think she's going to turn around and hug you and start sobbing.
Yeah, at this point, I've definitely holstered, if I didn't say before, but I've holstered my gun, and I'm gonna start another private chat with the shrouded woman, and I don't want to talk to the group about what I'm gonna share.
Okay.
Sidebar.
So-
I think we need to sidebar.
Sidebar?
Yes,
Okay.
can we just do a real quick sidebar?
Oh shit.
Sorry,
Okay.
guys.
Ren,
Yes.
is that sidebar gonna go in the game notes?
No.
No. Okay.
It'll be in the recording though, but
Okay.
No, actually, the sidebar won't.
ooh, you're right. Okay.
Fancy.
Cool.
Secret.
Yes. So I'm going to sidebar.
A few moments later.
So, mate's back.
Hey.
Okay. So, is everybody here?
Yup.
Okay. So, the shrouded woman, I think that the shrouded woman walks to the door and she shakes her head and prepares to leave. And she's going to turn to mate, and she says out loud, I think we can agree on this. Don't let anyone else find this place. And then I think she disappears.
Yeah, like into the ether. I'm just saying, yeah, they won't. And I'm going to start
And
walking
again,
over
we are
towards Mel
left with
Pooty.
more questions than answers.
Yeah, I'd like to make my way over towards Mel Pooty.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And I'm just going to tell the professor that these are memories that you're going to have to take with you in nothing but thought and thought alone. I'm going to hold out my hand now, and I'm going to ask for her data pad.
Yeah, she's looking at you slack-jawed, and she says, like, no. This is the culmination of a lifetime of research. What are you talking about?
You will need to continue to search for your own truth, as I'm going to have to look for mine. I need your data pad now. And then I'm going to turn to Roy and Ruda and Amil, and I'm going to ask for them to step out of the space here.
Step out of the what?
Yeah, step out of the room, please.
Okay.
Roy looks
Thank
at
you,
Mate
Ruda.
and cocks his head to the side and says, "Intriguing. May I ask why?"
This place should not be here, and we don't have the right to be here. It's going to go, and I need Evelyn for that. And I'd like you guys to get out of the way so that you don't get hurt.
I'm gonna my face is just gonna be a question mark, but I'm going to slowly walk out of the room.
Okay, fantastic.
Hiya, Bluvin, how you doing?
Roy is resistant.
Roy,
Roy is
you
resistant
have to
and
go.
requires.
Roy, you need to go. I promise I'll talk to you about it. You need to trust me on this one.
Amil's gonna look at Bluvin and he's gonna be like, well, Mate's up to some interesting shit.
All right, well, in a complete shift of attitude, Roy cocks his head back straight from being to the side, looks at his drone as it slowly flies into his pocket, and smiles and says, "Agreed. I will
That's
study
cool.
this more later."
Your drone fits in your pocket?
It can.
That's actually kind of cool. I like that.
I actually imagine it's like that one character from Little Witch Academia. Cross?
So,
Oh, you can watch that. Never mind.
so I'm trying to make it like clear to players, but not the characters in the game, that Roy has recorded everything from this room from the minute that we walked in here. All of the data in this room, Roy has recorded on his drone, but he's walking out.
And for now, that is fine with Mate, and that's why I said we'll talk about this later.
Yeah, I get the feeling that it's like Mate is all right. Mate would be happy to have other people to talk to about this, as long as you're not gonna like be a narc and fucking forward the things you're going to see.
Later, when we get back to the ship, Roy intends to recreate this room using a hologram from his drone, and then to explore it further.
Okay.
So Bluvin would like to ask Amil, so do you think we're still getting a reward?
I'm pretty sure that like they have to pay us anyway.
I think Amil is gonna look at Bluvin and I'm gonna be like, I think this is one of those the journey was the reward moments.
Aww.
Okay, wait, so just to be clear, Mel Pooty did give me her data pad, right? Like, I'm not gonna have to fight her for this?
I think that you do have to fight her for it.
Okay, then this is gonna be the scariest that Mate becomes, because I'm pretty sure that the group has seen Mate less serious.
Tell you how I want this scene to go.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I want you talking to Professor Pooty, and then the camera pans over to Amil and Bluvin talking, and then we see Professor Pooty walking out of the room with a traumatized look on her face, and Mate holding her data pad.
Wow. Okay, that's great. I'm going to take the data pad. I'm gonna set it in the middle of the room. I'm gonna walk up to Evelyn. I need your help, buddy. I know we said we were going to learn more about these things together. This is not one of those times. What we need to do And what I need you to do, is because I'm pretty sure you're good at this, is I need you to move this place to somewhere where no one can find it. Can you do that?
Ooh. Okay. So I'm gonna go ahead and say that that's outside of the scope of Avalyn's power.
Is there
That
enough that
said-
she could do to destroy the place then? Like individually, could she move the tanks?
Maybe there's a lot here because remember at the back of this room there's another big door, and you don't know what's behind that door, but it seems like there's just like a lot in this cave.
Would it be enough to just leave this place, lock the door, and then teleport the keystone away?
You could do that. The other thing is,
Could Avalyn like jump to the center of a star, get like a thimble-sized piece of material, and just use it to blow the thing up?
well, I was going to say, there's that big generator in the back of the room that is that's powering all of this stuff. And mate, you are familiar with their hardware setup.
It should be an antimatter generator.
I mean, yeah, that sounds appropriate for them. So I think that mate, you could easily enough set up a. You could probably set up that generator to destroy this whole room.
Yeah, I think I'd like to do a combination of those two things. I'm gonna go back and I'm gonna jury rig the generator, but I'd also like to give the keystone to Avalyn if Bluvin would be okay with me having it.
Yep.
Okay.
For sure.
And then if we want to still have Avalyn involved, because being next to this generator when the thing pops would probably be really bad.
Not for Amil.
You could just stand inside the explosion.
Bad for Amil for like a week.
Yeah.
You would still be turned into a fine mist.
I would become Baby Groot.
Well, I was gonna say Avalyn can teleport and can do telekinesis, so Avalyn could just pull the trigger from a distance.
Yeah, I would like that.
You like that plan?
Yeah, that's real cool, and yeah, that's about as much as I would like to talk about with the group here on purpose, in relation to this room. Before I go though, can I
Roy
grab
is very off-put.
Can I get an aspect from this room?
What do you want?
I would like to take pain of the progenitors.
Okay, that's a very good romantic aspect name. I need you to tell me what that means. Like when you invoke it, what are you referring to?
I'm referring back to the being here, being in this space, and having something that is very familiar that even my own personal de-addressed memories don't do a good job of grounding me in. And if I need to recall something that grounds me in this space or grounds me to those memories, I'd like to be able to call on that.
Okay, how about this? I like pain of the progenitors, but then let's put in parentheses after it, shadow of a memory.
Yes, I love that. Dark waters. All right, let's go.
Okay. You guys walk out, and Evelyn, do you want to say anything about this scene with you triggering the detonation?
I feel like Evelyn would walk out of the room and she'd be putting the keystone in her pocket and she'd be like, "All right, guys, we should walk away now." And that's all she's gonna say.
As we walk away, do we hear an earthquake
Oh yes, absolutely. I'm just going to have like it explode, and you guys will probably hear something and turn around like, "What's going on?" And Avalyn's putting on some sunglasses.
Yeah, okay. I like this.
Amil's gonna look at Bluvin and I'm gonna be like, I hope every day is this interesting.
Fantastic. Okay, so you guys head out. Do you head back topside?
Is there any reason for us to go back to the underground? I would think we'd go back topside.
No, you already paid the guy.
We paid little like skipper route, right?
Mhm.
Yeah. Okay.
So what's the status on Pooty? Is Pooty taking this well?
No. She's very upset and appears a little bit traumatized from her interaction with Mate.
Roy is actually trying to figure out what Mate said to Pooty to make her give up that information, that data. He's pretty off-put. He feels like Mate has sided with organics.
Ooh, maybe you could invoke your expert interrogator aspect. Didn't you pick that up?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking, but I didn't want to like derail any storytelling.
So let's have that happen, because I don't think that makes sense for you to do that in front of me. Let's have that happen on a separate day. Like you go back and interrogate Professor Pooty separately. Okay, so Professor Pooty is actually going to she will pay you an amount for helping her like find the cave, but because Mate explicitly like stole a lifetime of like career progress from her, she's not going to pay you the full amount that she offered for a completed job, because she argues that this was not a completed job. However, Mate, I think that Mate, you get a fucking IM from you get an IM from the Shrouded Woman that just says, check your bank account. Mikhail?
So I was kind of hard pressed to think that I would give Mel Pooty nothing, but I'm gonna give her, and this is just something that I'd like for storytelling purposes. In the world of the networks, a lot of their generators, the way that they have the generators connect to fire, are held together with coins, like these large coins. And it has like the emblem. This one has the emblem because it was an avian progenitor room. I would like this to have a giant eagle. It's an eagle coin. And I'm going to just give that to her and say that this is the most I can give you. I know I don't like having to be mean or angry. And I apologize for the time that this has taken and for the life that you've lost doing so. I know life is precious. But this is something you should move on from.
That's fantastic. Yeah, I think that's good. The other thing is, yes, you get the message to check your bank account.
Okay, cool beans. Just gonna. I'm happy with what I receive.
Yeah. So you got an amount that more than covers the amount that Professor Pooty offered the crew.
Okay, cool. I figured that would be the case.
And also, this might be getting ahead a little bit, but when you guys get back to the ship, the bounty on your heads is no longer valid.
I think that while all of these conversations is happening, Amil is like in this sun-drenched like plaza. I'm imagining there's some like olive trees. Amil is gonna just walk over to like an olive tree and just have like a really like introspective, like self powwow about where Nova's place in this like biological, like non-biological debate is. He's gonna reflect on the conversation that he had with Roy.
Okay. So, what needs to happen? What do you guys want to happen to wrap things up?
I think Bluvin is genuinely confused.
Yeah,
Just
I feel
because
like our
Bluvin has no idea what's
steps-
going on, honestly.
I feel like our next steps are on the ship for us to like reflect on stuff.
All right.
'Cause, yeah, I'm confused too.
Yeah, I'd like to say my goodbyes to the samurai and apologize for wasting his time because he hung out and didn't get anything out of this, unless he did.
Yeah. So, he
Did not betray us. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, he says like this was very interesting, and I think he gets a look at Roy, and he says we might see each other again. And that's where I'll leave that for now. Okay, so let's head back to the ship. You guys say goodbye to Professor Pooty. Everything gets resolved there. You head back to the ship. Where do you guys want things to go on the ship?
Roy is gonna go back to his room and review the holographic recording that he made with his drone.
Okay.
And I'm gonna interrogate. Well, is Pooty still on the planet though?
She would have. I think you guys would have dropped her back on her home planet. Which is the moon of Tritoli.
All right, I'll question her another time if I don't find enough information from that hologram.
Okay. So yes. Does anybody have any questions they want to ask from anyone else?
I'd like to just ask Mate privately, just Mate and I. So, what the fuck?
Okay, out of character.
Yeah.
Out of
Go
character.
ahead.
If we're going to do an info dump, do we want to have a like a powwow where the whole group gets together and like shares some frank information with each other so that we no longer need to be doing the game of like, oh well, this character knows this and this character knows that this character knows this, or do we want to keep going with that?
Well, I'll say right off, whatever information that Roy gets from that hologram, I would share with the entire party. So,
I think that we should at very least have a limited powwow to get people like somewhat up to speed, Like we should just have some amount of information should get shared just so we all know like what the campaign is about. But we don't necessarily not absolutely everything needs to come out, but like we should know a little bit.
Okay. I agree with that sentiment.
okay, so I have a pointed question for the DM then.
Okay.
That would be, let's say that I review that hologram, and I guess what I'm trying to figure out, what I want to know from that area is, can I figure out what species those things were, and can I figure out why there was a void in energy in that area?
Oh,
Can I figure that out from the holographic recording that I took?
Here's what I will give you after like running that holographic recording through like a supercomputer that you have a subscription to or something like that. The creatures inside are not any known creatures that are on record. They were very clearly humanoid. They had opposable thumbs and stuff like that. And there were some indications, things like filed nails and like specific haircuts and stuff like that indicate that this is a sentient species. But it is an unknown sentient species. That is all that you're able to get from the recording and with your available access of information.
Wow, so no information at all about the lack of energy in that area, or what would have caused
the lack of the void in the warp.
Yeah.
Nothing that you could pick up on with physical instruments.
Is that a common thing throughout the universe? Just areas that are void of warp energies? Or is that something that was very unique and unknown?
If you were to check the warp if you were to get in a spacesuit and just drift off into space, away from a populated spaceship and just sit at a random point in space, that's what it would look like. The warp is populated by the energies of the living things around it. So any place that's completely dead and doesn't have any natural energy coming from the movement of tides and stuff like that is going to have a completely barren warp like that. You are not used to seeing that where it shouldn't be, essentially. I will say, if you want more information about that, the best thing that you could do is try to commune with your light spirit things that you work with, and we can work through what that communion, looks like. But maybe we should just do the info share session first.
Okay.
So I think that probably the person who has the most secrets right now is probably Mate and maybe Roy. Mate, is there anything that you are willing to share to get everyone on the same page?
Yeah. So the most I'm willing to share here in open space, which before we came to the meeting space.
Let's assume that we get the party and y'all are hanging out together in somebody's cabin with sensor stealing hardware going on, so nobody can be peeping in.
Oh yeah, no. I wasn't worried about people getting a part of our communication. This is more a pointed email that I sent to Rory.
Okay.
And I just straight up tell Rory, what you saw was for you. That needs to be destroyed.
What, the holo recording?
Yes, the holo recording. And it's if you have questions, I will answer yours directly.
You putting me in a spot here.
Yeah, I know. That's why I'm doing it. It's called a hard choice, fam.
Yeah.
You don't have to destroy the recording, though, if you don't want to.
Are you expecting a reply to that message, or are you expecting there to be...
At this point, I feel like we have a pretty good rapport where most of the crew doesn't respond to my emails, but I think you do. So I'm hoping to get a reply before we come to the cabins.
So Roy would send back a message saying, I don't know the exact wording of this, but the loss of knowledge is a sin that asking me to commit would decrease the amount of time I have left even greater.
I would just send back a robot emoji and be like, dog, we're forever. What? I don't
Roy
understand.
doesn't understand that. Roy thinks that he has an off switch that is going to be flipped very
man,
soon.
we have to have a whole different conversation then.
Yeah.
You know,
he knows
okay,
that he's
so-
supposed to be forever, but he's not because he's encased in this organic
yeah.
shell.
Okay. So
So he doesn't want to destroy. Like, it's not that he's trying to be just like fuck you, but
no.
he's
I
like,
understand.
I can't do something that would be detrimental to my own existence.
Then the only thing that I can ask is that you encrypt it and you put it somewhere where the rest of the group cannot find it.
And Roy would send back, "Don't worry, it already has been, because I assumed you would try to delete it the minute I refused you."
Yeah, dog. I was getting ready to hack your stuff, man. All right, and I know that that's super rude, and you shouldn't just do that. Okay, yeah.
Oh
so
yeah, but
based
remember, like
on-
we both have robotic personalities, so
Mhm.
even though organics may think this is people throwing shade back and forth, it's not at all. It's
Yeah,
all
that's
completely emotionless.
it's just facts.
Yep.
So then, yeah.
Sort of like that show
I-
Parasite, if anybody's
Yes.
seen that.
Yes. Okay, so I come to the cabin as well. If Rory had said no, I wasn't going to the cabin, but I
Okay.
came, and I would like to talk with the group.
Whose cabin are we in? I feel like it
Who
would
has
be
the
good
biggest
to just
one?
meet.
Probably
Ruda?
Bluvins. Or Ruda?
Yeah, Ruda would just
Do
have
I
like a
have-
bunch
I'm
of
not
workout
sure.
equipment and just like open space and futons. Like, I think
I
Ruda would
think
have the
Bluvins
most
would
plush.
be mostly a fish tank, so
I feel like Amil's would be like a bunch of furniture that nobody could sit on. Like one would look like a grill.
Yeah, don't sit on that. It'll give you third-degree radiation, burns immediately, and you die.
And also, Morgan, this is a very important question. Does Ruda have like I imagine Ruda having like a guitar sitting around in his room that he's never played.
Yes, he does, and he also has a.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh, also, I don't think Amil actually has furniture because I don't sleep. I
Yeah,
just
there you go. Or sit, I guess.
or sit. I just kind of am like, yeah, always on.
So wait, what happens when Nova want to congregate together? Like, you just stand together
They
forever?
just stand in a room like a Dilbert comic.
I think so.
I actually think that like that I envision that they would have like meeting halls that are shaped like Greco-Roman theaters, but it's standing room only.
Oh,
I
wow.
also- I need to double check my wording on this. I know I said that in space, they can move around without. Oh, I'm on the ship. What? Whatever. I think that that Nova can. When they're in space, they can move in zero gravity.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna say that that's them generating their own like. They would still have to fight against existing gravity.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I was going to basically wonder if Nova just hang out and just like float in circles around each other.
That might do. They might actually have like a meeting hall that is just they go into empty space and they create a little solar system that is just them orbiting around each other.
Yeah,
And like, yeah.
yeah. You can.
So that's like a gaseous
version.
version of the Great Link from DS9.
Yeah.
You can identify different Nova friend groups by like what they're like, the equivalent of like what molecular pattern they form.
Yeah, and sometimes they can be pretty cliquish because like if you add another Nova, it will like, yo, you're destabilizing our gravity, man. Come on.
Okay, fantastic. So, I think that Avalon has the biggest room.
Okay.
Are we in
Yeah.
agreement, Avalon?
Fair.
Or hold on, or is Avalon's room kind of like Howl's room from Howl's Moving Castle, where it's a big room, but there's like 2 feet of standing space?
Oh, absolutely. I
Yeah,
would
that
100% guess that
You know what?
Avalon is a hoarder.
Guys, Bluvin has an exquisitely decorated room.
But it's a pool.
Oh no!
Hold on.
Under the sea.
we could just have a beach scene. I mean,
Okay, so maybe.
Oh no, I see. Like I would imagine Bluvins' room as something with several pools in it. but also like
Think of it
several
like a
log-type
jacuzzi
areas.
or something.
Okay,
Like
hold on. Okay, two points here. One, Mate definitely has a room because Mate has like possessions that he needs to keep somewhere. So even if he doesn't have a bed, Mate has a room. That could be an option. The other option is that y'all go to Bluvin's room and it's just like a 6-person hot tub situation.
oh yeah, it's like
I
a
think
big
we can do that
jacuzzi. I
just
think.
for the laughs.
So are we in agreement that we're all going to Bluvin's room and we're getting a jacuzzi on?
Can
Oh,
I
yeah,
bring
yeah.
a cocktail
Also-
as we discuss matters of great importance?
Us deliberating for like 10 minutes about whose room we're gonna go to needs to be canon.
Oh, it definitely is.
We're
Yeah,
just out
okay.
in the hallway bickering.
Okay, so y'all are in Bluvin's room. Everybody has been dressed down to their comfort level, and you're starting to create just like a nice human soup in the jacuzzi.
I'm making drinks for everyone with little tiny umbrellas in them.
By the way, Amil is Ken doll naked, by the way.
Roy is sitting in
Right.
the pool fully clothed because he doesn't understand the concept of.
The idea that Amil is completely naked, but because his entire body is bioluminescent, he's just like he's lighting up the entire jacuzzi.
He said, yeah.
Okay. Who's sharing information? Who has secrets and what's getting out?
Amil looks at Mate.
I sip on my straw.
All right. So a lot happened today. And I'm hoping y'all are cool with what I'm about to tell you, so don't freak out.
Go on.
Go ahead, robot.
Cool, now that none of you are freaked out. I'm pretty sure that the shrouded woman is my best friend now.
Okay.
And like
Biological concept.
I know it's weird, but we have some shared history. And there's just stuff that I know that she can help all of us with, but in particular me. So I'm just going to have to ask, based on this very archaic form and construct I found on the internet called faith, that y'all are just going to stick with me on this. Does anyone have anything they would like to ask me in particular?
Who are you?
I don't know. I used to know, but I don't think I've had access to that memory for some time now. I'm hoping the Shrouded Woman can help me find that out.
Nate, do you believe what you're doing is right?
I don't know. I hope what I'm doing is fair.
Huh.
Yeah,
It's
I'm
the most
not really
persuasive
sure.
of answers, but I like your honesty on this one.
Thank you. I'm trying. And guys, out of character, give me 2 seconds. I'll be right back.
Okay.
No.
Hang her.
Okay.
So
I'm
yeah.
about to ask a serious question.
So, Kevin, what are all of Amil's dirty, terrible secrets?
Oh, Amil is a total, like, just completely, I don't want to say prude because it doesn't really, like, make sense for him. He doesn't really have any. I mean,
Alright,
he's
sorry,
in a
guys.
hot tub right now, but...
He is wanted by the Empire, but I think he's told everybody that.
Oh, and then he goes, oh, you mean my criminal history? I thought you were talking about my dirty secrets. And I'm like, I don't have any of those.
Mikael, did you say you were back?
Yeah. Sorry about that. I just
Okay.
had to run off for a second.
All right. So
Hold on, this is very important. I think that canonically, Mate just had to, go into standby mode for a second while he was taking care of something in the digital world. And I think while he was doing that, the players basically just devolved into a game of Never Have I Ever.
Oh wow.
Hold up 1 second. Microsoft just unleashed the new update.
Yeah, unfortunately, if you tell it like don't update for like a month, it just does it eventually.
While you're in a hot tub, it's programmed to go off while you're in a hot tub.
Oh yeah, it waits for the most like inopportune time to do so.
Okay.
All right.
So what's up, Roy?
Previously, the shrouded woman has taken actions that could have led to our harm. Can you guarantee that she will not do so again?
For you in particular, or for the rest of the group?
Let's say you know that Roy is only talking about himself, but he's making it sound like he's talking about for the rest of the group.
And that's why I asked.
I mean, feel free to call Roy on his I don't know what you would call that, hubris, misdirection.
Yeah, no, I'll DM you later. For now, no. Our goals are, I kind of think that they're in lockstep. We're looking for the same thing.
What are you looking for?
So you can't guarantee that she won't bring harm to us again.
I can, as long as you don't try to assert yourself over her. I know it's really
Another
weird.
biological construct that you're exhibiting.
It's
Intriguing.
so weird. I've learned a lot of things today, Roy. Like, for me, in my robot mind, like, this is just like, hey, guess what? She just gave me Google. And I'm trying to parse my way through understanding, like, why I didn't have access to this search engine before. Like, before
And
I was just
Roy
using,
is-
like, Ask Jeeves.
And Roy is starting to feel as though you need the synthetic equivalent of an exorcism.
Oh, wow.
As in, you have been infected by a biological.
Oh,
and
no.
something is wrong with your programming.
I've got another
So
question.
Amil just asked a
But
very
he's not
good
saying it,
question that I would like to at least hear Mate's answer to.
Mhm.
Do you remember what your question was?
Yeah, my question is, so what are we searching for?
Oh, that's an easy one. I'm just going to hold up one finger, and I'm just going to say in my most, like, old world British, just the truth.
I'm gonna just look at, like, everybody in the party.
time.
Bluvin nods as if he understands. He does not understand.
I just have that emoji face.
Yeah, I'm so sorry. Like,
Bluvin would
this
like
is
to ask
out of
me-
character. I want you to know that I'm not being obscure for no reason. There's a lot
no,
of
this is
purpose
great.
behind it.
This is
So-
giving for good storytelling, good interaction.
So, mate, can we trust Pooty?
Now, yeah, there's nothing that she has now, which I guess at this point I'm holding up her data pad that I have that can endanger us.
You exploded that data pad.
Oh wait, did I explode the data pad?
You exploded it down to the molecular level.
Okay, never mind. Then I'm not holding up the data pad. I thought I had kept it.
You hold up like ash.
You just got ashes in your hand.
Yeah,
Broken computer.
yeah. I'm
chips.
just gonna let the dust float in the wind. I'm like, yeah, no, we have nothing to worry about. What I've given her is hope to move on to something else, and that's all we can do.
You got all this dust in the hot tub.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I figured it was like a self-cleaning kind of pool. I'm used to those.
I clean it regularly. Don't worry.
Does anybody have any other questions?
So
Go
our
ahead.
plan as a unit, our plan as a group, is just to move on to the next system with the Gemini, and keep a lookout. Keep doing mercenary missions. Keep being like
Heroes for hire.
Heroes for hire, but side hustle is searching for stuff dealing with this.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
I'm okay with that.
Okay.
Also, real quick,
Sounds good.
Bren, that payment that I got, was that a side payment just for me?
It went into your account, but I think because you guys did not she doesn't care what you do with it. She was basically like paying you for your trouble and for making sure that room was dealt with. You can do with it as you will.
Yeah, no, okay, so yeah, the other thing that I will say to the group before I get out of the hot tub, because I want to say that the hot tub makes me uncomfortable because I'm not sure how my robotics deal with that over time and whether or not I can expel all that water.
Mate has existed for like... Mate is completely capable of just like walking through the bottom of an ocean.
Okay, cool beans. I was just worried that like, oh man, maybe there was something here that would mess up.
You have very durable hardware.
Cool beans. Then I'm gonna chill here, but like I will say to the group, and I'm just gonna say, hey, everyone, you should check your email. We got a one last gift from the Shrouded Woman, and then I'm gonna get up and I'm going to head over to the laboratory because there was one more thing I want to do before we wrapped up today.
Okay. Can I just say, I absolutely... So I feel like this is a mainstay in any good, like, tabletop RPG group where, like, characters are keeping secrets from each other and finally they need to have, like, the big dramatic confrontation reveal. The fact that we did that and it was with everybody in a hot tub is delightful.
Yeah, that's a good way to do it.
It's the best possible way to do it. Okay. We're going to go to Mate in the lab, and then I have at least like okay, actually, before we do what happens after you guys leave the hot tub, before we do the next series of scenes, what is going to happen is I think that can we say that no other scenes happen today?
Oh yeah, Amil's just gonna go work on like machines and tinker in the thing.
Perfect. Okay, then what happens is you guys, any of you who are applicable, you are meeting up in the cafeteria for dinner or just for conversation with friends, and while you're there, you see the captain is walking around between tables, introducing people to a new member who has decided to join the Gemini, and she brings them over to you, and you guys recognize them because Hyakamaru has joined the crew.
Oh.
Hyakamaru?
Hold on.
He's definitely on our team, right? Please tell us he's on our team.
He is actually not going to be joining any teams for the time being. He needs some time to observe the crew, and he's used to doing independent work. So he's going to travel with the Gemini and do independent work for at least a month, and then decide which teams he's going to work on. Just as a GM, Hyakamaru probably would not be a good fit for you guys because he's kind of cutthroat and does not have the same like moral code that you guys do. But Hyakamaru has joined the Gemini, and that is the thing that I wanted to get out of the way before we did the next series of scenes. Now, we are getting close to the like wrap up for the night. Last like wave of scenes. What do you guys want to get out of the way before we pack up tonight?
So yeah, I would like to take Mate over to the laboratory to hang out with their favorite Nova. Sorry, Amil.
Wow. Okay. So you are going to go hang out with your mechanic, whatever her name is.
Yeah, she totally had a name, and I'm spacing, and I feel bad
Oh,
about
I'll
it.
have it in a second. Gemini Crew's, her name is Charlie. She's not part
Cool.
of any particular crew.
Yeah, so I'm gonna go hang out with Charlie, and I'm gonna slap down a medal on the table, and I'm gonna go, "Hey, what's up? I'm going to need another charm for my pistol. Think you can do that with this?"
Okay, which medal is it?
So from the generator, I stole 2 medals. I gave one to Mel Pooty, and I'm
Oh.
keeping one for myself. So I gave Mel Pooty the Eagle medal, and I am taking the Lion medal for myself, and I'm going to have that made into a charm.
Fantastic. Now, is it that Mate has a series of charms, and like every time he leaves the house, he like picks one charm to put on his gun, or is it like he has a fucking cat o' nine tails, just like fistful of strings and trinkets hanging off of the bottom of his gun?
So for a long time, it used to be a bunch of trinkets, but over time, the aiming mechanism that is necessary for Mate to be good at shooting kept being put off by the number based on the amount of charms that were there. So now it's just like, hey, today's Tuesday, so now it's time for me to take my feather charm. So it's kind of like that.
That to the point where there was more charm than gun.
Yeah,
in
it was
terms of
mostly
math?
more charm. Yes, and it was so heavy that it was just it was annoying to have to do the calculation before taking a shot. So yeah, most of most of the metal is something that isn't from anything in recorded history. So I'm pretty sure Charlie's very excited to mess around with this.
Oh hell yeah. Okay. Cool. So, that happens. Who wants to go next? Anything else you guys want to clear up before the end of the game? Oh, Roy, just to because you said you wanted to interrogate Mel Pooty about what happened,
Yeah, I didn't know where to fit that in.
Okay, I'm just gonna breeze over that. You get some time aside, you hunt her down, and I'm just like interrogate her in her bedroom or whatever.
Whoa, Roy.
Basically, Mate said Mate was just very, very scary and made very like threats that they seemed like they would follow up on if she did not turn in the data slate.
Okay. Well, this will just further Roy's belief then that Mate has been somehow infected by a contagion that's doing something to his software, changing him.
Okay.
That's great.
Anything else?
I think we're good.
Okay. All right, then I think that you guys have a nice. Do you guys like hang out with Hyakamaru in the cafeteria?
Roy has done his typical thing of being aloof and ignoring him while using his drone to study him, particularly the triple helix on his back.
Very good.
I would imagine Hyakamaru notices and is annoyed.
Sure, but he would not indicate that he had noticed.
Yeah.
Evelyn is also overly interested, but she doesn't want to like interfere with the captain because she's sure the captain would be like, "Hey, what are you doing? I'm trying to show him around." But she's like doing one of those things where she's just following them with her eyes wherever they are in the lunchroom, and then she's like looking away whenever Hyakamaru notices.
This is fantastic. Because I see where you're going with this. Hyakamaru is, he's being friendly with everybody that he's introduced to. And I think that after all of the introductions are done, Hyakamaru goes and gets a plate and he goes and sits next to Corin, the ship maintenance officer who Mate had talked to one time, who was sitting by herself, and those two start talking, and Avalyn, you get some like flirtation things, energy going on there.
She's
Roy
just gone.
notices and cocks an eyebrow, but that's about it.
She just warped to her bedroom. She didn't even say a word. Just boom, food still on the table.
Okay. Perfect. Kevin has just once again written the word erotic into his notes in all caps.
Roy slowly pulls Avalyn's food into his own dish.
Okay. So, man, I'm really sad that I can't find my notebook that I wrote down, like, scenes that I wanted to do in. So, I'm gonna have... I'm gonna have one last scene that I want to do as a, like, epilogue scene as we close out this chapter. And then I'm gonna talk to you guys about how the next game is going to work. And then we will wrap up. So, this scene happens at about how do I want to do this? Okay. Yeah. So this scene happens at about 2 in the morning. Most of your characters who sleep are asleep. And we see Hyakamaru. He is in his bed, and he's snuggled up against a naked Corin. And his eyes are closed, and he appears to be sleeping contently. But our camera actually, like, zooms in to his face, and we see him where his mind is at, because his brain computer is currently in a private room in the like internet. He has a private virtual room where he is speaking to a figure with like a completely generic avatar, like a test dummy kind of avatar, that is sitting. It's a plain white room with nothing in it except for a table with 2 chairs at it. Hyakamaru is seated at one chair, the test dummy figure is seated at the other, and we hear Hyakamaru say, well, there were some complications with the mission. I did find the facility that we were looking for, but a good chunk of it was destroyed. On one hand, most of the living information that you were hoping to find there was not there, but there were corpses you could have investigated. Still, with matters outside of my control, it was destroyed. However, I believe that the greater bulk of the facility was closed behind a door and is still intact. I'm sending you coordinates to go investigate at your own leisure. And then...
oh shit!
As they're getting ready to like close out, he goes, "Oh, and one more thing. I think I might have found one of our missing subjects. I'm investigating on my own. I'll report back if I have anything to report." And I think
shit.
That's how we're going to end it. Okay. That's the end of chapter 1. Chapter 1 is complete.
Wow.
Yeah. Okay.
Hell of a chapter.
Is the Gemini going to
Yeah,
move
it
on
felt
after?
good. Huh?
Is the Gemini moving on?
Yes, so at the end of this chapter, the Gemini is going to take a hop over to the next star system. So, the way that our next game is going to work our next game is not going to be a like campaign game where you guys play as your own characters and progress the story. We might do some like epilogue stuff with that at the end of the game. Instead, what we're going to do, and this is something I want to do between every chapter, we're going to do a game that takes place here on the Galactic Factions map. I don't have it completely filled out yet, but before our next game, I'm going to try to fill out faction leaders for each of the factions and major groups. And for our next game, you guys will each pick a faction leader and roleplay what they have been up to for the past month. And this is going to be our way of like, essentially, we're going to keep moving the like big picture galactic story forward.
Is there a way that we can't see like the Rogue Kingdoms, all of those ones?
Hold on. Yeah, I mean, you certainly should be able to. Controlled by all players, save changes.
Yeah, I think
I'll just have to make sure that you guys all have control over
we can test it out later.
Yep. Okay, so you guys will each control like a faction. And in the case of something like the Holy Terran Empire, which is massive, you're also going to control sub-factions. And you guys are essentially going to... The idea here is that the entire galaxy should have galaxy-wide... Politics and like a big picture story that's happening that's bigger than the players. And I'm not going to write what that story is. You guys are.
Oh, that's so fucking cool.
Really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a really good idea.
The other thing that I'm going to do, which will be after that game, is I'm going to come up with a few different, like, mission premises and, like, setting premises that I think would be good ideas for a chapter. And, I will give you guys a very basic abstract of maybe like 3 options and ask each of you guys which one you're interested in doing. So you guys will have a bit of a choice over where you go. And that will represent your characters getting a vote in which system the Gemini hops to next. And then the last thing is completely optional, but I have a Pinterest board with like probably at this point hundreds, if not thousands, of pictures on it, of just like different concept art that's relevant to this setting, different like places, different people, different technology, different robots, stuff like that. And the last thing that we can do as the like chapter interim is anybody who's interested has the choice to flip through the Pinterest board and find any picture that interests them that's just like a cool piece of technology, a cool looking character, a really cool setting, whatever. And you can send that to me and I will use that as part of my inspiration for the next chapter.
Dope.
Yeah. Okay. So, with that, I am done. We're officially done chapter 1.
Oh, that's so cool.
Yeah.
Cool.
Guys, that was an amazing game. I'm going to edit the like several hundred to 1,000 words that I put down and then put it in the chat.
Cool beans. Thank you so much.
Okay, fantastic. Then I will hang up. I am very excited to see our recording for the next game, and I will have plenty to do to prep for our next game. So I will see you then. Hopefully we can do next week, if not the week after, whatever.
Cool beans. Yeah.
Cool.
All right, y'all.
Peace.
See you later.
Everyone have an
Bye,
awesome week. Catch you.
Guys, yeah, you too.